Utinni!
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Justin with Utinni Designs. Hope you're all doing well. Uh, Today, we're going to be designing a t-shirt for Utinni Designs live on this stream. So just wanted to go over a couple quick little things. Last stream, we unboxed this little guy, little cool little Funko Jawa. He actually came in like a little soda can. I guess they're called soda Funkos, something like that. But this is a pretty common one. Um, so it's pretty cool. Cool little bobblehead. So this is the little soda can he came in, and you just open this up, and man, he was packed good. And you just put the lid back on, and you're good to go. So he's going to be helping me today. Be a little inspiration for the design. So pretty cool. Um, Not too much else going on. It's Friday. We have Spice Runners Lounge tonight, so be sure that if you want to watch the Spice Runners, 9 o'clock Eastern, and you can go to this link here to watch them, and I will put that in the chat as well. So let me do that real quick. So there's a Spice Runners Lounge that you can watch tonight. So again, make sure to go to that link and watch Eben and J2SO and Joe Hawsey and crew tonight. Should be a good show. Sundays we have Rogue 5 Cantina, and you will also want to tune into that. That is a very good show. For Sunday nights, I will put that link in the chat as well. So there we go. And then if you want any Utini merch like the shirt we're designing today, please go to this link and order. And until Sunday, you get 10% off if you use code slap a Jawa. So I've put that in the link. Use that code slap a Jawa. You'll get 10% off any of the merchandise and swag in the Utini swag merch store. This does not go for 3D prints or anything like that. So be sure to enter that code, slap a Jawa, and you'll get 10% off from now till Sunday. After Sunday, that code will be going away, and in the future, we'll do some discounts and stuff. Um, so I wanted to give everybody some time to not only look at the merch, but maybe also pick up this shirt we're designing today, which will be up tonight before the Spice Runners Lounge uh, live stream. So definitely check them out. Eben and them are a good crew, and let's get to designing this T-shirt. So the first thing we're going to do There, can you hear me now? Maybe that works better. There, can you hear me now? Maybe that works better. Okay, so there we got some. So sorry about that. I was not aware that if you weren't on the screen visually, your mic wouldn't work. So figured there'd be a way to do that, but still learning. So here we go. 6 minutes in. Let's get started. So the first thing I normally do, obviously, you start out. I want certain colors in this shirt. Um, these aren't necessarily set in stone, but this is kind of the color palette that kind of goes with the Jawas and stuff that I've developed for my branding. So these are the colors we're going to be using, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. I do have Facebook open, and we are Facebook live streaming as well. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and let's get started. So normally I do not design on white. So I'm going to change this to like a light gray. And for those interested, I used hex code 898989 to get this gray color. So we're going to lock that layer down. Excuse me, so we can't select it, so I don't select it accidentally and move it around the screen. So let's see. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with, let me bring up a new layer here. Oh, wrong one. Bear with me for a second here. I have some elements over here that we're going to grab that I've pre-done so we can keep this video short and sweet, hopefully, not too drawn out. So first thing I want to do is I want to put in some inked sketches that we've already done. Again, I did this to save on time. So basically, we're not hand drawing things because that does take a lot of time. So we will be coloring this, however. So the first thing I want to do is try to get some color in this. And to do that, we're just going to, first we're going to lock that layer so we don't accidentally move it while we're coloring it. And let's see, let's go to this kind of, let's go to a reddish color for the highlights here. There's you can kind of see these markings in here. This is going to be where the red color is sort of at. So first thing we're going to do is zoom in here so we can see it. And let's just get going. So there's many different ways to color vector artwork for t-shirts. Some are more complicated than others, using masks and whatnot. I like using the pen tool. I know it's maybe some consider kind of antiquated, but it works for me. And it's what I've been doing for years, unless it's a super complicated design. So what we're going to do is we're just going to draw these in real quick where we want the red areas, and we'll just kind of go from there. And this just kind of shows you the basics of how to color in vector artwork. Again, many more complicated ways to do it. And as you can see, I can't see my lines anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop the opacity on that so I can see it and just continue. And I also use a pen tablet as well, a Huron 16-inch, but I do not have that connected to this particular computer. So I'm doing this all via the good old mouse. So we're just going to roll with it that way. So let's see, where else do we need red? We need red right in here, I think. So these are just kind of the stripes on the vehicle, and I can zoom in here to get a little bit more accurate. And again, you can use the Bezier pen tool to do curves and whatnot. So like for here, I'm going to draw this curve out, and I don't know if you can see that on screen, but it makes a little curve. And then you just kind of match that curve up, and then you're good to go. So we'll zoom out on that. The same tool applies in Photoshop. So there's several different ways to do it. So now let's color this in up here. Actually, let's do this one first. And we're just going to color this in. And I do have some pre-colored elements just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me color things because that's probably boring as heck. Plus, in North Carolina today, it is warm, which means this little room I'm in is warm, and it is hotter than 2 horny Jawas and a bantha's ass in here. So we're just going to get through this quick and dirty and come out on top, we hope. So I'm just going to continue with this red here. Again, I kind of already pre-planned how I kind of want this to look. So there I'm drawing another Bezier curve just to kind of speed up the process instead of just multiple clicks. So again, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat on Facebook and or on YouTube, and I will get to them as soon as I see them. So see, we're not being able to see our ink lines again, so I'm going to drop the opacity of this. Now, the thing is, on this one, is this entire area is kind of red, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to hide the red behind the ink lines. So that's why I'm kind of going off course here. And we are just going to continue putting this red in. Again, this is just a quick and dirty way of coloring. I'm sure there will be lots out there like, oh God, you're coloring like that? That's so jank. Well, but it works. Yes, I can sit there and make pretty curves all day long, but it's not going to do anybody any good if this video is 6 hours long. So I'm going to do it the quick and dirty way, and we're going to get out of here. So now we have the red areas. Now what's nice is I can select all these red areas here. So each one is a separate object. So I can color them different colors at any time if I want. I'm going to group those, and then I'm going to drop those behind the layer, the ink layer. But first I have to unlock the ink layer. So we're going to drop those behind, and there you see everything is kind of inked in. So now we're going to continue with the other color, and we're just going to make a new layer. Again, we're going to lock this layer so we don't accidentally move something. And let's go with this orange here. Kind of this, not really fluorescent orange, but kind of a cartoony orange, I guess you'd call it. I'm trying to keep my palette fairly cartoony and bright, kind of vibrant. So let's color this in here. Now this will be for the rest of the ship, or the rest of the speeder, basically. So again, we're going to use the ink lines that we've pre-done to kind of mask all these little imperfections. So we're just going to keep on trucking here. And now this engine's almost done. Close the loop. And I'm not happy with how that came in right here. So I'm just going to curve that a little bit, put a little bit of a curve in it. And now we're going to keep on going to the next one. And yes, I could copy and paste some of these to make it a little quicker, but we're just going to kind of go the old-fashioned route. Getting a little crazy here with my lines. Trying to speed up this process a little bit for y'all. And then I will, once we finish this, we'll do one Jawa. And because we're going to have some Jawas in this scene, I think. And the premise behind this is that they're out on Tatooine, they're cruising around this speeder, and they have a little teenage accident. So that's kind of the premise behind it. In case you were wondering about the story. I like to try to design something with kind of like a story in mind. So when I do my designs, I don't necessarily do the whole backstory and all that jazz, but I definitely like to have some kind of inkling of, okay, I'm trying to tell a story per se with art or pictures or whatnot, and it just helps kind of guide that process a little bit. So again, we're just coloring in. Now we got those two engines in, and then we'll go down to this side here, zoom in a little bit, and we'll continue coloring. Again, thanks to these ink lines, I don't have to be extremely accurate. And the way that I've had these, the way that I've gone about designing these is for that particular purpose, because it is for t-shirts and apparel and web graphics. So I don't need to be super anal about it and just, you know, tack on. I can be kind of loose with it, and to be loose with it kind of helps a little bit too. You know, it's, you can sit there all day and be as realistic as possible with it, but at the end of the day, is anybody going to see it? Is it going to matter? Probably not. So, you know, they're not going to sit there and overanalyze stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm turning up the opacity on these, and then I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to drop them behind the red that we just did. So now you can kind of see how this is getting colored in here. So now we're going to do a brown for the seats. Let's go with kind of this dark brown here. Let's see. Yeah, we can go with that dark brown. We might make it a little bit lighter later. But for right now, let's just do that. So again, we're just gonna zoom into these, quickly do a color outline on it, just to get stuff kind of going. Because the fun part isn't necessarily doing the little detail work like this. The fun part is putting it all together once you have it colored and kind of going. So now we're going to drop that down below that. And as we zoom out, you can see our speeder starting to kind of take shape. So we have a couple more items here. I want to do some grays. So I think I'll probably go with this kind of a gunmetal gray. And that's going to be for the engine areas. And let's just continue here. Let's lock this layer again. And we'll do this bottom one first. And I can actually do two different grays if I want. So, you know, I can have multicolored grays in here if I wanted to, which we might do. We might change this up a little bit later before I do the final, you know, before I send it off to get the shirt ready for print, ready for purchase. I might tweak it here and there, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to continue this path. All right. So that should basically color in the speeder now. So we've kind of gone through that process. I'm going to grab these grays here and group them. And then we're going to drag that right there. So now you can see we have a speeder. So I'm going to group that speeder. And as you can see, some of our colors kind of switched up, but that's an easy fix. Sorry, my screen's real small, so kind of have to figure out where I'm dragging. So we want the reds above there, and there we go. So see, now this is all one piece. We can move it around. So I'm going to place it right about here, and let's see where it goes. Let me pull up another window here just to make sure that I can see chat and stuff when it comes in. Bear with me for a second. There we go. Let me refresh Facebook. Make sure we have no questions or chat or comments. All good there. All right. So let's continue on. So this is kind of where I'm thinking. Again, we're just kind of designing a scene. And I have some elements, like I said already, that are colored and ready to go. So I am going to grab one of those without giving too much away here of what we're doing. So let me grab these and we're going to copy those and paste those in here. And we're going to put this one about here. And let's see, let's do this one right in here. Let's grab these and move it onto our canvas here. Now, there may be times where you see me kind of go off canvas, and that's okay because I can drag it back on at any time. Not a big deal to worry about. Also have a pre-made shadow in here somewhere. And we're just going to kind of angle this like so. Rotate it a little bit. Just to kind of give it some depth. And let's see, let's go ahead and get a background shadow in here. Again, I kind of pre-made these just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. I think we'll go with something maybe like this. Let's try something like this. So that way we kind of have the light coming in this way. And again, that's something we can adjust. We can move the shadows around, whatnot. Hey, Pats fan, no problem, man. Hey, it's Friday. People got things to do. Um, Apparently, I don't, except for this live stream. So the only thing you really missed is we colored in this crash land speeder here. As I mentioned, I've inked out everything just to kind of save on time. And right now, we're just kind of playing with how I want this scene to kind of look. Again, this is going on a t-shirt design that will be up and available for purchase by Spice Runners Lounge tonight. As you can see, here's some other elements that I've already inked out that we'll color in. So looks like we kind of got our basis here. I'm really not happy with that shadow where it's at though. So let's adjust that a bit, maybe more like this. And then this we're going to have to make lighter. Let's see, we got this one at 47%. Excuse me. Let's do this one at just slightly above 50%. So that way there's a little bit of color variation there. And we're going to drop this one down just a tick and enlarge it. Just so it's over that rock. So you can kind of see there's a shadow and then there's, you know, this shadow here. This shadow here should basically be the same. That's at 22%. So let's make that 40 just to kind of get it in there a little bit better. And I may combine these, you know, shadows here after a bit. This looks off over here to me. So I'm going to grab these 2 points and just pull them down. So that way it kind of gives a little bit more shadow. Don't worry about any of this bottom ground here. Again, I'll move and adjust things as I go. So the next thing we want to do is color in we want to color in a Jawa. So I got some inked Jawas over here already. Let's take this one and we're going to put him right in the scene. And for some reason it grabbed a bunch of stuff. That's weird. Okay. Well, we already got the rocks, so we can delete those. This shadow we'll use here after a bit. Again, this is just about pre-drawing some stuff just to kind of save time. So, all right. So let's ungroup this stuff. Let's regroup this. So now we can move all this around. And as you can see, I kind of built a shadow into him already. So again, just trying to save a little bit of time. I may open another file and grab some elements if I see we're going long on time. We're 30 minutes in so far, so not too bad. So what we're going to do now is we're going to color this Jawa. And for the color for the robe, I think I'm going to do something like this. So we're going to take this color and we're going to go in here. We're going to lock that path down. So again, we can't move it. So I'll show you that. See, we can't grab it and move it like we were before. That just helps with some of the inking process and whatnot. So we're going to go in here and we're going to ink this guy in. I'm going to do the main colors first. Again, just quick and dirty. This is for a t-shirt design, so you don't have to be super accurate just because of the fact the way that I've done these ink lines is they will cover a lot of the issues. And I'm just going over the entire body here. There's many different ways to shade this in. And we'll just keep trucking here. And again, I'll get to the chat as soon as I can, so please be patient on that. If you have questions or comments, suggestions, you want to tell me to piss off, whatever, I'm good with all of it. So again, see now we can't see our ink lines, so we're going to drop the opacity of this so we can see that. We're going to close the loop. We're going to turn this back on, and then we're going to drop this behind our ink lines, which should be right about here. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Something going on here with this shadow. This shadow should be like that. Not sure what happened there. So now the Jawa is kind of colored. Again, this was a simple one because it's just his back end. These lines are super thick for some reason. They should not be that thick. And I think I know why. So I think what we're going to do instead is, bear with me for a second here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and just get some elements here. Show you some little behind the scenes. So I have all these elements here. So we're going to grab him. And we're going to paste him in here. So as you can see, our colors have kind of changed because we went from an RGB to a CMYK, which sometimes causes issues. So we're going to go with this brown, and for this brown and this brown, we're going to go with this brown, kind of a darker brown. Now, the reason that those were larger, and I will show you that here in a second. Let me expand these. Expand. Okay, should be good. So see, now I can shrink him down and see how on his belt these lines are way thicker here. That's because the way that this is done with these lines, and this should be black here. Not sure why that's not black, but we're going to make it black. In fact, we're going to select all this. We're going to make sure these are black. So the reason that is it had a stroke on it, what's called a stroke line. So on a stroke line, you have to, I'll show you a quick example here. So if I draw this line here, let's say, and I make it a stroke, you can see how it's really thin, right? So if I increase the stroke width, that line gets wider and wider and wider. Conversely, if I take this back down to 1 where we had it, and I make it smaller, that line even though it's still a 1, will appear thicker. See how it does that? That's why that uh, pouch right here seems thicker. So to combat that, it has to do with size too. See how it gets thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner, and I'm not changing any stroke. It's the same stroke width. So the way to combat that is to expand that stroke to a fill. So now this is a filled shape or object. So now it's not getting any thinner or thicker. It's just getting smaller and larger. But these areas are staying the same. So just a little vector tidbit there. So we're going to take this element and we're going to paste it on top to give him a shadow. We're going to enlarge it to fit this area. So again, kind of taking some pre-done elements, mixing them with elements that we've already worked on. And then we're going to do some live elements too. So like right in here, see this shadow doesn't match. So we're going to drag it in here just to hide it a little bit. Now you're probably not going to notice that, on a t-shirt print or something, but I try to get it somewhat close. And I'm actually going to move this shadow here a little bit and move this. Now let's get him a little tool because he's going to be our guy working on the crash speeder. From the looks of the speeder, it's not going to be fixable, but we're going to give him a chance. So we're going to grab these two and copy that. And then we're going to boop that guy. And now we're going to paste this in here. And we're going to give him a tool. Let's scale this up. And let's get into this line here. And we're going to close this loop. So what I'm going to do this is I'm going to add in, actually, let me go back here. I'm going to go back up to my blank layer here, and I'm just going to draw this little crescent wrench style thing. No, it doesn't look like one, but when we switch this, you're going to see how it works. So now I've basically got my kind of line that I want, and now I'm just going to make this thicker, and we're going to drag this in and see how that kind of lines up there. And again, I'm not happy with how this looks. So we're going to drag this like that. Maybe make this just a tick bit smaller. Let's see what's going on here. All right. So now we're going to expand that, and that will give us a shape. And then we can take these, I call them vertexes because that's what we call them in 3D. But you take these points and you can just match them up to get your shape right. So there. Now he's got what looks like a little wrench. This is already pre-colored, so we are going to basically take it and get it in here. Looks like I need to add a point. So we're going to add an anchor point, and that way we can take that anchor point and pull it in. So now we have a little wrench. We're going to make that a different color because that color sucks. So let's make it, yeah, let's do that one. That one doesn't look half bad. I know it kind of matches the background, but so now we have our first little Jawa, and we're going to scale him and put him in the scene here. So as you can see, we have the ground shadow. We have, the sun kind of coming from this way, which I may change because even if the sun was overhead, it's still going to give an overcast of the ship onto the Jawa. So that's just, something I think about. I'm not always great with lighting, but this is more of a cartoon type deal. So let's go ahead and get our suns in here. And, oop, why can't I grab that? Is that locked? Where's my sun at? Okay, there's that. It is not. Okay, that is locked. That's why. So I'm going to bring these in here and just kind of arrange them just for giggles. So obviously this is Tatooine, planet with twin suns. So, okay, we got our speeder colored, we got our Jawa colored, got our rocks, our shadow. Let's continue. So let's lock the sun so we don't move those. Let's lock our Jawa so we don't move that. Let's bring some smoke in here. And as you can see, that smoke is behind, which we don't want. So we'll go to our layers here and select both of those, and we will drag those above the speeder, which is right here. And then we'll zoom in here and do some tweaking. So obviously we want the smoke to look like it's coming from that hole. And same with this one. So we'll just put it right in there. So this is our scene so far. I'm going to make that sun a little bit smaller. That thing's gargantuous. So I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller, and therefore we need to make this one a little bit smaller just to appear like it's further away. So let's save this while I'm thinking about it. So we're going to go live stream shirt design, saving it. There it is. All right, so now let's grab in some other elements here. Let's see, let's grab this little guy here. And let's put him in. Let's put him right here. Looks like he's kind of beat up. He's sad. He's crying. Maybe it was his speeder. So we're going to color him first. So let's create a new color layer, lock him down so we can't move him. And let's go with the color here from this Jawa. And again, we're just going to ink in the color. So just real rough and quick. Doesn't have to be exact because our ink lines will hide the imperfections. Now, a lot of artists will sit there and go, again, oh, well, you're not doing that right. That's a bad way to do it. It's work smarter, not harder. Nobody is ever going to see these lines on the finished product because they'll be hidden by the ink lines. So what does it matter? So doing cartoon style art is a little bit different than like fine art, like David Bedreau's artwork or even George Medina's artwork. Um, and they have little tricks that they can get away with too. This is just something that I've developed over, the years I've been doing graphic design. And if if I need the detail, I'll do it. If I don't, then why spend hours coloring something when time is money, when you could just be getting the job done? All right, so there's that. And now we're going to drop that behind the little Jawa guy. So we're going to take this path and drop it in here. And then we're going to drop him behind all of our little groups here. So just like that. So there you can kind of see how I color, in certain things. Now on this particular one, this is gonna look weird, but I'm just gonna delete that layer because I already have him colored, just to save some time. So we're gonna group that. We're gonna move him back up here. And don't worry about, again, that he's going off the canvas a little bit. I will adjust all that. Um, just trying to add some little depth here with his scaling. I might make this guy a little bit smaller, but let's get the other elements in here first before we start playing with scale and whatnot. So let's see, we got a couple different options here. We got this Jawa with a sign, or we got the one pointing. Let's see, which one should we do? Uh, let's do the pointing one for now. We're going to copy him, paste him, make sure that he is expanded. See, see these issues right here? That's what happens when you shrink something that's not supposed to be shrunk. So we are going to enlarge him to where I think he should be. Then we're going to group him. Then we're going to expand his appearance, which then converts it into lines. And then we're going to shrink him down. And see, now he doesn't fall apart there at the top of the hood. So, and let's bring him forward, not backward. There we go. So now he's standing on top of the rock, pointing. And we may switch to the sign guy, I'm not sure. I don't know why his finger looks so fat, though. That should not be that fat. So let's drop him down to where it kind of matches. Nope, one more. There we go. Expand. So let's just expand this one more time just to be sure. That looks better. All right, so let's get a little shadow in here for him. Again, these are pre-made shadows that I've done. So let's get a little shadow in here for him. Not sure if I like that completely or not. We may switch it up. We may do something a little bit different. We're almost an hour in, but our design is coming together. So I don't think I like the shadow on that rock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this shadow behind the rock. And like so. And what if we put him here? Well, I don't want to cover up that smoke either. Plus his hand is really dark. I'm afraid you won't be able to see it. So let's see. Any suggestions from Facebook or YouTube? What you think would look better? Let me show you another option here real quick. So we can have him on the rock. We can have him standing here, but he kind of covers up the smoke and you can't see his hand. We can also flip him and have him pointing at this guy, and I'll just shrink everything down. So let's go ahead and bring in our little sign guy too. Oh, didn't mean to show you that, but that's all right. So we're gonna take this brown, make it that brown. So we have this little sun guy here. Got a couple different options. So let's object, reflect. Now you can't unsee it. Yeah, right, Pats fan. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's all part of being live and only having a couple screens to put stuff on. So for right now, let's do this. Let's have this guy pointing over here. Let's move him out of the way. Let's move these out of the way so we can grab. We got a issue here somewhere where this is still grouped to something. There we go. So let's group those two. Oh, we didn't grab our other Jawa. So, oh, I know why. Because he's locked. Excuse me. Where's he at? Where's our little Jawa at? There he is. Okay. So now we're gonna squeeze this all down inside of our little scene here. Excuse me. Let me take a drink here real quick. All right. So we got this guy. I kind of like where he's at. Still not sure about this one over here. get that shadow out. And let's reverse it. So we can kind of get it behind this guy here. Oh, dang it. Should have put bourbon in my Coke instead. So I can pregame for Spice Runners tonight. Alright, so here I'm just adjusting the shadow slightly. Just to kind of get it to conform to the shape a little bit better. Just using these Bezier handles. So something like this. So I think that'll work. So obviously he would be casting a shadow somewhat on this guy, but I'm not liking that either. So we're going to drop that behind. And I think I'm going to make the shadow darker. And we're going to keep dropping that behind. There we go. So now this guy looks like he's floating. So let's put him a little bit closer. This guy looks okay, except he needs a shadow down here somewhere. So let's take this exact same shadow and let's squish it up here, rotate it a bit, drop it down here. Excuse me. Now the question is do I like this shadow on him? I think I do, because technically he would still have a shadow on him. I'm going to drop this down just a little bit so we get some different shadows kind of going on here. So there you can see some different variations of shadows. Now obviously the shadows probably wouldn't be that much different in real life, but hey, this is a cartoon style. So if anything, I'm going to raise this shadow a little bit. And this shadow, I think I'll drop a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. Again, a lot of this is just playing around with the design a little bit, doing some tweaks here and there. We have the shadow right here going across this, so I like that. That works really well. I'm not sure about this here. Let's drop this down. Technically, he would be under somewhat of a shadow as well. So let me come in here and adjust this. So we're going to adjust to where the shadow kind of covers him too. We're going to go in here and add another point so we can kind of manipulate this shadow a little bit. So then what happens is we have to drop him behind that shadow, which is right here. Now this is where it gets tricky, because you can very quickly mess up your scene. But I think I think that probably looks okay. Not real happy with this here. And this needs to be brought somewhere here. And then we got some funkiness going on right here. So let's take that up. So that way the shadow's kind of coming from this top engine nozzle down. This shadow, I think, if we move this and make this smaller, I think this will work better. So I'm going to adjust this. So it's basically, you know, just a lot of tweaking, and it takes some time. I mean, we've been at it an hour and 2 minutes, and but we're getting there. We're, you know, I'm getting to the point that I like what I'm seeing. So that's always encouraging. So let's do a little recap here. So we got our sons, we got the crash speeder, we got a Jawa trying to fix the speeder. We got this guy over here who looks like he was probably the driver because he was, you know, he's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? This guy's pointing the finger like, yeah, it's that guy. And this guy's got a sign. Now, what do we want the sign to say? Or maybe we don't say anything. Maybe he doesn't say anything. Let's see. What can we do here? Let me zoom out a little bit and see what my other elements are. Those were the main elements that I had. So I think what we're going to do is I will figure out a saying to put in there. And let's use a Star Wars font since this is a Star Wars deal. Do I have? I do. So what do we want this little guy to say? How about just like a cuss word? So something like that. But let's make it longer than that because that looks stupid. Let's go to Google and let's do ampersand cuss word. All right. What is an ampersand cuss word? No, I don't need that. I need symbol swearing maybe. God, this is going to take me down a rabbit hole, isn't it? All right. All right. Well, let's do this little picture has something here. So let's do that. So we got ampersand, hashtag, percent, ampersand, and exclamation. So then we're going to make this, that's not going to fit very well. So let's take out the ampersand. Let's take out one of these. Because I don't want it to be super small, but I also don't want it to be huge. That's what she said. Right, Pat's fan? You still in here, buddy? I think he is. Let me refresh Facebook too, just to see if there's anybody posting anything on there. Yep, he's still here. Pat's fan's still here. All right, Pat. So we're going to make him just a little bit smaller like that, like he's saying, oh shit. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. I think that'll look nice on a t-shirt. Let's fix this shadow here. So that's 13%. That's 58%. So if we bring this up to 57, and that's normal. So I'm just kind of checking these shadows because, again, I'm not extremely happy with that. See how it's kind of putting a double shadow on there? And it's an easy enough fix. You just have to either redraw the shadow or just kind of change the path. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change the path. So we're going to add some paths in here, and basically we're going to cheat by going around this other shadow here. And it's not going to be perfect, but I think it will work for what I want. So you see we're kind of cutting out that shadow there. And then we're just going to, oh, excuse me, dang it. Can't get this frog out of my throat. It's like I'm Grogu when I swallowed a damn frog. All right. So I think we're going to shorten this up like so. Drag this in, drag this in. These are just minute details, but I think that looks a little bit better. So we got 58% on multiply, and we got, what does that say? 57%. So let's do multiply on this too. That looks better. That looks way better. Okay. You can call me Ken. Oh, yep. Well, I know your name is Ken. I just call it, the name that's on the screen because that's what people are going to see. So, but yeah, I can do that. That's not a problem. So let's see here. I think this Jawa looks huge. So let's shrink him down a little bit. Because he looked kind of big compared to the other ones. Let's shrink this just a tick. So see, now we're getting somewhere. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's a good little shirt design. I think we can put that up. Um, so yeah, that kind of gives you kind of an idea of how I go about designing shirts and stuff. And again, I didn't show the hand drawn, process just because it's so arduous. Um, and it really does take time. Now this one could be just a little bit darker, I think, because that is kind of the main shadow. So I think we'll stop right there as far as this shirt goes. Um, but I wanted to show you, excuse me, dang it, the process, because I've had several people ask, hey, do you design, your own shirts or whatnot? Yes. Um, and again, you kind of go from, again, I'm not going to show the drawing process, but you go from, I drew this on a, piece of paper and then, you know, digitally inked it, scanned it in, went over and digitally inked it, got all the lines, the way I wanted and whatnot. And it's not hard to do. I mean, I'll, just do a quick little line here and we will change it. So see, I can grab this. Now you see how this is pointed. Because I just click, click, click. Now watch, I can smooth this out so I can make the line smoother. So now we have a much smoother line. Now, if we want a thicker line, we just, let me click on this here. We can make it thicker. Now this is what's called a uniform line. So it's the same width either way. So if you want to make it ununiform, boom. Now you can kind of see how it's easy to draw a cartoon character in Illustrator. Whether you do it by hand or whether you don't, you can kind of see how I can take this and go from a uniform line that I just drew out. So I'll do another one here. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take these sharp edges. Let's see here. Where's my curve at? So I'm going to just adjust this here, adjust this here, make that a curve. Let's just kind of adjust it. So there, kind of made another line there. So now these are all uniform, which works great for body lines. But when you get into where you have these little lines like this one here, let me zoom in here so you can see it. So you have a line like this, or a little line like that, or maybe a little line like that. So you can see as I'm hovering over these are different pieces. I don't know if it shows up on screen or not, but for instance, I'll pick this piece and I'll drag it. See, that's a piece. That's a piece. That's a piece. So that's how I do it. Is once I have my character drawn out, I'll scan it in, and then I'll draw a line around it, and then I'll play with the shapes. So again, this is a uniform line, and I can go up here and change it to this one, for instance. See how that changes the shape? It goes from small to large to small to large, depending on where the curves are at. Same with this one. I can change this one to where it has points at the end, or I could create my own custom brush. So now I'll change both of these to this one, and you can see how it changes the flow rate basically. So that's something that yeah, no problem, Pat's fan. I'll see you tonight in Spice Runners Lounge. So I just have a few more minutes on here, and I definitely appreciate it. So that gives you an idea of how to easily create some lines and do some characters. And then you just literally put it together. And then it's the coloring once you have the lines inked. And then you get to the point of, like these down here, these rocks, um, these are actually several different lines. So you started out with the thick line, and then you put in the kind of the light gray lines, and then you colored in this area, you colored in that area. You put a little crack in because, again, that crack is separate. So let me click down to it here. So see, I can move that. And then this is just a shadow of it. So then I can take both of those. Let me adjust that here. Let me zoom in. I'm working on a much smaller screen than I'm used to, so that's not helping. So you can take that, and let's say I want the crack over here. Maybe I want it coming from this direction. So you can see how you can quickly change stuff fairly, easily. Same with these dots down here. Those are just, circles. So you can just take a line like this, come in here, smooth these out, and then select your color. Actually, let me grab this color here. And see, I got a lot of layers on this one, so that's another reason why but in any case, you copy that. Come on, get down there. Copy that, paste it, make it the same color, which for some reason it's not doing the same color. Anyway, you get the idea. So I can just, place these at random. So I can copy it, make it smaller, zoom in here, can rotate it. You get the idea. So that's how you would do that. This is paid software, Pat's fan. This is Adobe Illustrator. However, there is a great piece of software called Affinity Designer, and it is very similar. Adobe Illustrator is the industry standard. That's what everybody uses. That's what all your major shops use, your vinyl shops, your vector artists, whatnot. But a lot of them are getting tired of Adobe's subscription plan. So they've moved to Affinity Designer because I pay roughly $650, $700 a year for Illustrator and Photoshop. Affinity Designer, um, they are moving to a subscription-based plan, but they also allow you to do a non-subscription based. So Affinity Designer, and they do have a Photoshop style and a vector style, and it is a really good software. So if I go to buy now, for instance, so you can get it on Mac for $70, one-time payment, Windows $70, or iPad for 84 or $18. Or you can do the universal license, which allows you to have the software, all the software that they produce, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, and Affinity Publisher across all platforms. There's no subscription, 164 bucks. So that's way better than what I pay because, like I said, $650, $700 a year is what I pay for Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. This, I get these three programs for $164, and they do basically the same thing. Now, obviously, being in the industry that I'm in, I have to have Illustrator or Photoshop. I don't have a choice because, again, that's the industry standard. But more and more companies are starting to compete with Adobe, And I think that's where Affinity Designer is a good place for most artists to start if they're looking at doing this type of stuff. Go with the cheaper software, learn it. The transition to Adobe Illustrator is not going to be that difficult. I've played with Affinity Designer. It's a great program. I have it here, right here. Where's it at? Right there. Affinity Designer 2. So I can open that up. I can bring in this um, once it opens here. Trying to figure out which window it opened to. It's still opening. It may not like my triple monitor setup, but we'll let it try to open here. Um, yeah, and there's free ones too. Inkscape. Inkscape is free. It is a vector program just like Adobe Illustrator and Affinity Designer. It will do basically the same stuff. Now, will it read Adobe Illustrator files? Sometimes, and that's where the catch comes in, because all these software companies have their own proprietary things, obviously. Um, so that's where you kind of got to kind of watch. But in my industry, in the graphic design industry that I'm in, Adobe is king. Affinity is probably second line, and then you have your free software like your Inkscape and some other programs out there that's like Photoshop. The issue is when you get sent a file from a professional, more than likely it's going to be an AI file. Some programs will read AI, some won't. Otherwise, send it in a PDF or an EPS, that sort of thing. So definitely check out Inkscape. It's free, and it'll at least get you started in the vector world, which is what this is. So that's definitely what I would suggest to get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this design and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create a new document. Excuse me. I'm going to paste it in here, and this is what it's going to look like on a white shirt. Um, so I probably will not put this design on a white shirt unless I change this. So the smoke here, we want to put a stroke around, and we're going to raise that stroke up. But see, I don't like this in here. So we're going to take the stroke out of that. Oh, wrong one. So no, I think the way I designed it is I have to cut those out. Yeah, that's the way I did it. So basically, I go in here and I'd recut these to where they didn't have a stroke. But again, that's just dependent on the color of stuff that you're putting it on. So not a big deal. It just takes a little bit of time to adjust for the different colors. But more than likely, this will be on a colored shirt. So we are just going to go through a few quick colors here just to kind of show you. So your typical black shirt, this will probably look pretty decent on. You miss the shadows and stuff, but not bad. So let's change it to a kind of a steel gray shirt. That looks like that's probably going to be the best color. Let's go with a red shirt. That's pink. Why is that pink? That should be red. There we go. That looks orange to me. I think my colors are messed up. Anyway, you can kind of see, like a light blue shirt that wouldn't look bad on. Yellow shirt wouldn't look bad. There's a deep red. That would look pretty decent. And then you have all your in-between colors. So like a brown color, tan color. So you can kind of see how you would need to adjust the design to fit certain colors. So I'm not going to save that because I already have it saved here. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually we're going to copy and paste this, and then we're going to merge that back. We are going to change that to black, and we're going to do what's called an offset path at 2 points round, and then we're going to take, let's see, what do we want to do here? We want to take that, want to paste it, but we want to put it behind. So arrange, send it back, and then path it again to merge it. And we're going to add a stroke to it. So for some reason, that did not do any of what I just asked it to do. That is really weird. So there it is there. So let's group that. Let's merge that. I've never seen that before. Okay, so now we got it. So now I want to take this entire piece and I want to copy it. And then we're going to go back. See, this is another little trick. As long as you remember how to do it. See, now we're going to put this on top so you can't see the smoke, right? But now watch this. Arrange, send it back, and we're going to bring it one forward. So now we have an outline that we can control around the smoke. And you'll notice that the outline is only consistent with the outline of the ship. You don't need outlines in here. You can add them if you want, but you don't necessarily have to have that. If you wanted that, you drag this back up to where your smoke layer is, which is right. Nope, went too far. Okay, smoke layer should be right here. So see, now you have the outlines around your smoke. So just different ways to skin the cat, basically. So now if you take that same design and you change the background color, you have different options. So like before, it was on a white shirt and the white kind of faded in, like this smoke here. Now this smoke is there. So you may have to do that for different colors of shirts, or you just change these colors slightly to make it all work. So I'm going to undo all that, and we're going to save it. And I think at an hour and 30 minutes, I think that's pretty decent for a live stream T-shirt design. And this was a fairly simple design. Imagine how long it would have taken if I hadn't had any of these elements already pre-colored and set up. These were just tweaking, and I still may tweak it just slightly before I send it live. For instance, like this shadow here, I may want to. I think what I want to do with this shadow is reflect it. So if I reflect it vertically, or horizontally, sorry, and do it this way, does that make more sense? Or let me zoom in here so I can see it. So does that make more sense? Or Does that make more sense? I'm thinking this makes more sense now that I look at it. So we're going to save that, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Now you can take any of these elements because again, you can move them around, you can, switch them up, and then you can put them in other things. So here's a couple others that I'm getting ready to post. Utinni Salvage Company. I did all this the same way as we did, and then here's another one, Twin Sun Salvage Company. So, you know, let me know in the comments which one you like better. Do you like Utinni Salvage Company or Twin Sun Salvage Company? So, and again, I can take, you see some of this grunge on here. So I can take this grunge and I can completely, as soon as I grab it, there we go. I can move that out. See, that's just a clipping mask. So now this is a clean logo. Or you can have it dirtied up a little bit. So there's several different ways to do it. And I really hope that you got something out of this and enjoyed it. As you can see, I've done a lot of different poses and whatnot. Um, you know, a lot of different things around here that just really helps with the branding and whatnot. And I have had other artists help me along the way, and that's why I'm kind of doing this is to just to kind of spread the knowledge a little bit. Even if you learned only one thing during this entire thing, that's worth it. So you can have different poses, you can have different arms, so you can put different arms on the people. Like for instance, this guy here. If I go up, you can't really see this arm, but maybe you want an arm on him. So we're just going to reflect it. Maybe he's, doing something like this. And then we're just going to arrange to back, group that, arrange, send to back. And then we'll adjust these points here. But you can very quickly change a path and the width of it, whatnot. I think I have this locked. That's why it's not. That's why it's not going. But what was that ding? Let's see. Let me make sure that nobody has popped in or popped out. Might have been my phone for some reason. All right. But that gives you an idea. Again, you can come in here and take the eraser and erase that away. And now you have another, pose. So then all you have to do is color it the same color, which I've already shown. So I think that about does it for this. Uh, I will do some final touches on this little design and we will have it up and you will be able to purchase it tonight. And I will get you the link for that. Just go to the Utinni's swag and merch store. And let me put that in the comments as well. So go to that link, and by tonight you will be able to buy a shirt with this design on it. I am going to tweak it just slightly, just get a little bit more things in it. But there we go. I may even make stickers for it. I don't know. Uh, that's the beauty of doing online stuff, is you can do whatever you want with it. It's my artwork. I can do what I want. So hope you all enjoyed that, and thank you for watching. Um, I do plan on doing maybe a few more of these if people like them. If you don't, tell me what you would like. What would you like to see? I've been a graphic designer for 25 plus years. Um, 3D is a little hard to do live, just because there's so many settings and stuff you got to play with. But maybe I can do what I did here, and I can have elements that I can move around and put on screen and show you kind of, how lighting works in 3D or something like that. Would you like to see that? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM. Shoot me a text. Uh, I'm pretty easily reachable. So with that, I hope you all watch Spice Runners tonight, and I hope you all have a good weekend and a happy rest of your Friday. So thank you very much for watching, and may the force be with you.